And hello, everyone. Welcome to the Whitfield Report. I am your host, Sam Whitfield, back from hiatus and broadcasting live here from South Florida. And I want to thank you all so very much for joining me tonight or wherever you are. I really appreciate it. Anyway, I just wanted to. I don't know um, how long this video is going to be, but or how long the stream is going to be rather. And I've also I didn't do any prep really for this episode. I just kind of hit the stream button and automatically started this. So let me just make sure that my uh, microphone levels are good and whatnot. So let's see. Okay. There we go. Okay. Yeah, my sound levels are good. So and for some reason people are not I know we already have a few viewers in here probably, but for whatever reason they're oh well that field is starting to populate now actually, but for some reason we didn't have any viewers. So if you're in here, well, I'll probably just go to the YouTube page. But anyway, enough of me babbling. Anyway, to make a long story short, folks, I am back. I took this previous weekend off from streaming. That's why there was no Whitfield Report on Saturday. I was going to go see the Avengers, and then as it turned out, I actually ended up getting sick, kind of with, just something going around. So, unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to do a show on Saturday, but it kind of worked out, but because I didn't have any content anyway. But I'm back. And I was going to do a stream last night, but the evening just got away from me, and I didn't get a chance to. So I'm doing an impromptu stream here and now. So if this is your first time tuning in here, I have to apologize in advance. You're not going to see me at my best here, probably. Um, but anyway, um, so Jesse Spots just concluded his interview with my good friend Johnny Arcade. Johnny Arcade, of course, is the man who Owen Benjamin falsely accused of poisoning his kids with fake gummy penises. And then because and like 40 other people were associated with Johnny, we got kind of accused of being like co-conspirators or whatever. Um, so basically, Johnny's interview with Jesse, or the other way around, I guess. Jesse Spots' interview with Johnny, I thought went very well. I kind of tuned in a little late. I didn't have notifications turned on for Jesse's channel for some reason. I didn't have the bell on, but I think I pretty much caught the whole stream, and it was very good. They did a really good job of covering everything, uh, and I'll be on the next stream that that they do to talk about, this whole thing from my perspective. Although I have plenty of videos about this whole Owen Benjamin thing on my channel that you can watch as well. And this kind of brings me to one of the points of this video. So after I go on Jesse's next stream where he has me on, that's probably going to be the last time I talk Owen on my stream. And of course, I know I've said that before, but this time I really am truly going to put the Owen saga to bed, at least on this show. Because I'm a political commentator and a pop culture commentator. I did not intend to get involved in basically what became like an internet civil war. As I've explained before, when I joined the Unbearables, I wasn't even really a big fan of Owen. I was just looking for like a creative community of other conservatives, to like be able to collaborate and do work with, and it turned into this whole cluster fuck, or rather disintegrated into one, I should say. It so it is what it is, and like I said, I'm glad that Jesse had Johnny on, and I'm looking forward to coming on as well and giving my perspective on things. Meanwhile, though, there's been other stuff going on, and most notably on the election side of things, I do kind of want to cover. And I don't have any tabs open, so I will let me pull up my browser real quick. As I said at the very beginning of this stream, you guys, I did absolutely no show prep. So you guys are, when I pull stuff up, you guys are going to be seeing me like do actual, show prep on air kind of. This is rare for me. And also, I am going to pull up the stream chat for this stream up on my browser, since my application is bugging out tonight and not showing me the proper watch stats, I don't think. So, okay, let me pause. So, So first off, Laura Loomer and Alex Jones and Milo and Paul Joseph Watson got deplatformed completely from Facebook and from, basically, they've basically been deplatformed from all social media. And, well, I haven't always been a big fan of, Alex Jones, or, any of those types of conspiracy-oriented shows. Although, it's funny, this whole thing with Alex kind of being, deplatformed and whatnot has kind of turned me into a fan of his, ironically. But I've been saying for years now that Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, they all have too much power. And I'm not a big fan of the idea of regulation because I generally believe that anything that the government does is bureaucratic. And, if the government, on the one hand, if the government starts to kind of regulate the social media sites, I do get the argument that they're going to be regulating, free speech. Um, on the other hand, whether you like or not, uh, social social media is the new town square, so to speak, and I don't like the idea of big corporations like Facebook and Twitter, or take your pick, being able to regulate what people say and do on their platforms. And I understand the whole argument about, quote unquote hate speech and whatnot, but the best antidote to quote unquote hate speech is not censorship. More or less, it's actually more speech to combat against, uh, hate speech and whatnot. That's why, I'm not a big fan of Richard Spencer or the alt right. But as long as they're not, threatening people or doxing people, uh, they should be allowed to have a platform. And obviously, I've had podcasts before, and I've written columns denouncing them, and that's my right. So creating dialogues seems to be the best antidote to that. Now, Owen's a little bit different in my opinion, since, as I mentioned, he did dox Johnny Arcade, and he uh, did kind of, if not directly incite, at least inspire some of the bears to potentially harass and even possibly commit violence uh, among the ex-bears and among the DZ. So Owen is a little bit of a different case, but even with that, he shouldn't necessarily be deplatformed for his views either. And the reason I bring up the whole free speech issue, ladies and gentlemen, is this is going to be a major point that Trump has to contend with in the 2020 election. There are really two, in my opinion, there are two things that Trump is really going to kind of, have to answer for in 2020, whether I like it or not. The first being this whole free speech censorship issue with the big social networks. If President Trump and if the Republican Congress can't do anything about big tech censorship, or more like if they don't even really attempt to do anything, they're going to lose a huge part of their base. And then, of course, I know people are also talking at the wall. Now, here's my whole premise too. I'm going to vote for Trump, regardless of who I'm going to vote for Trump regardless in 2020 because the left has just gone so far out there. I mean, they were bad in 2016, but rather than moderating their views and reassessing, things and trying to, come back to kind of the mainstream, which is what I was originally hoping that they would do, at least some of the more reasonable Democrats, I would hope they would be able to pull kind of the party back into center. The Democrat Party has just gone down even more into the whole social justice warrior thing. And Joe Rogan actually has a pretty good clip of this, which I will, as soon as I can find it, I will play for you. So, anyway, well, I'm prepping this. Hey, Johnny, I see you in the chat. Like I said, great stream with Jesse. I was there for most of the show. So, let's see. Yeah, sorry, like I said, if you're just tuning in, I literally hit the stream button right after Jesse's stream was over. So I didn't really, show prep this. But anyway. Alright, so I want to go ahead and play this. Let me full screen this. Okay, this is Joe Rogan earlier this week talking how Trump will win again in 2020. And I've been saying this for a while, that the left has just been going so far off the reservation that Trump is definitely going to win again if the left keeps up their clown world antics. And hey, Nightwave Radio, thanks for tuning in, man. Shout out to Mersh. Check out Nightwave Radio, 10 p.m. every night. So anyway, but yeah. So Joe made a really good point about how the left is just going bonkers, and Trump is already set to win. So, okay. Cut number 1. Go. Oh, sorry. Clicked the wrong button.
He must be like, this guy is never gonna last 8 years, and for sure he's gonna win again. I'm gonna be the president.
So you think for sure he wins again because whoever the Democrats decide to put in is going to be an equal turd?
All right, hang on, guys. I've got to like I said, for those of you just tuning in, I really didn't do show prep. I just kind of hit the stream button right after Jesse's spout was over. I've got to get my picture-in-picture button back, so apologies while I fix this, because I don't want to get popped. So okay. So oh yeah. Thanks, Mersh, for tweeting the link out. So, let's see. Okay. Oh, show picture-in-picture. Okay, yeah. Show picture-in-picture was not popping up. Okay, and picture is still not popping up. Um, so let's. That's odd. Maybe it's because I'm sharing my screen, although it should still pop up. Um, okay, there we go. Phew. Okay, yeah. If YouTube weren't such spurgs about you're recording over Rogan's video, uh, that's why I do the picture-in-picture for a lot of these things. If that weren't the case, I wouldn't be so OCD. But anyway, this. So like I said, this was Rogan earlier this week with a guest talking. Oh, Trump is going to win again in 2020.
Sandwich again.
You're a super smart dude, but you're also a brute. You're a big, giant, savage motherfucker, right?
Yeah.
So how many people have underestimated you because you're a big, giant, savage motherfucker?
Plenty.
And talked stupid to you and acted like you were a moron?
I'd say equal street fights to fights in the UFC.
Yeah.
Foul ball.
There's a lot of people, right? And just people in general. Like, they'll get snotty. I don't take stevia. I drink
Yeah, I'm
black.
good. I'm
Look,
going
I like
black.
my men. But I think there's a certain part of us that might be doing that with him. I don't think he is. I think he's really good at winning. This is not an endorsement of him.
No caveats necessary.
Yeah, I'm horrified by this immigration policy of separating children from their parents.
Okay, again, Joe, and again, people, this was not Trump's policy. He was not the one that started this. This was, way before Trump. So, yeah, I mean, I do get complaints that I do get the fact that Joe's not really read up on stuff like this. Anyway.
I think that's subhuman.
His wife came out and said that was bullshit, right?
Yeah, his wife's an immigrant, bro. His wife barely speaks English. It's chaos, right? It's crazy. I hate all that stuff. These are just families. They're just people who love each other. You got to keep them together. If they break the law, you keep them together. Get them out of here if you want. I mean, if you want to send them back to wherever they came from, if you're hell-bent on that. But taking them from their kids is subhuman. I mean, it's beyond. It's not us. It's not what we're doing in 2018. All that aside, he's probably going to fucking win again, man. I think he's probably going to win again. I think he gets in these confrontations with people, and they think he's a dolt. And I don't think he's a dolt. I think there's no way he could be as successful as he's been. I know he's had ups and downs and shit like that, but like, what he... Just the way he was able to dismantle all those guys in those Republican debates. They didn't know what
he tore them the fuck
tore
apart.
them apart.
Tore them apart.
They had no business. They had no business doing that with him. They just were too emotionally tied up in his responses. There was so much negativity and energy. It was like, there's all this anxiety. Like a fight where a guy's in full panic. You know, you've seen like street fights especially. Guys just...
I love how all of Joe's references are to UFC stuff, and I mean I get that's his thing, but he just cannot find another analogy, dude. I like your podcast, but seriously, find another analogy other than the UFC. So, Jolly Roger in the chat goes, whoa, now hold up there, Rogan. I wouldn't exactly call them people. Good, but okay. This clip is way longer than I remember. I think maybe this was a different one. Let's see.
who, all the right-wing people think just wants to give away all your money. Give away all your money to welfare brats.
Even the left was protecting against that.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's still money on the left.
I should point out, I know jack shit about politics. This is very important to point out.
Yeah, no shit. That's becoming more and more clear. But my point in kind of playing this, and this actually wasn't the original clip that I thought this was. This is just kind of. I thought there was a different clip of Rogan talking about this. There was a more recent clip, and I might try and find this. But kind of my point being is even a guy like Rogan knows that that Trump is going to win again in 2020. And like I said, I know people are pissed about him not getting on the wall. I get that. Especially, I know Mersh has been vocal about that. I know people are frustrated that he's not doing more on this whole social media censorship thing with conservatives getting blacklisted. I know, I understand that. But at the end of the day, we have Bernie Sanders, AOC, even though she's not running. We have Valerie Jarrett. We have creepy Uncle Joe Biden. Like, we don't even have any semi-moderate Dems. And mark my words, Hillary, I don't know if she'll make a return. Like, I'm pretty sure she's done running. But then again, I could be wrong. At this point, it wouldn't surprise me if Hillary jumps back in the race. So my point being is, and I have to make this war cry every year before the election, but I'm back on the Trump train because at this point the inmates are running the asylum of the Democrat Party. They're not moderating their views at all, or trying to even come close to being in the center, like, at all. And so, but at the same time, mark my words, the left, the hard left, is going to have a lot of low information voters voting for them. And they're like, there are not a lot of people who pay attention, okay, to even what's going on tangentially. We have a lot of people who take things in like 3-minute bits, and they don't even know what the Constitution is. And part of that is the fault of our education system, which is a whole nother topic I'll get into at some point. But basically, my point is, I see like all these people who are saying, oh well, Trump hasn't gone on the wall yet, and or he hasn't done this, or he hasn't done that on social media. So I'm not so sure I can vote for him in 2020 because of these things. Um, I don't. I get that. I get people's frustration. But I don't see what the alternative is to not voting for Trump. And for the most part, I think he's done well as president. But if you know, do we really want Valerie Jarrett as president? Do we really want Bernie Sanders as president? Because if you think things are only kind of so now, things will go down the toilet under one of those morons just as fast. So, all right. Let me read some of the comments here. Let's see. Oh, Morgan is here. Also, I've noticed that like someone keeps hitting the downvote button and then hitting the up vote button immediately afterwards, which is hilarious. Yeah, like just then. So anyway, Rogan has to know it's not Trump's policy. Sam, I've only been listening to you for 2 minutes. Well, welcome. Let's see. And yeah, again, big shout out to Johnny Arcade. He creates awesome content. There are a few Owen videos that I do want to get to. I know I just said I would save my Owen comments for next time I'm on Jesse, but you know what? Johnny actually does have some really good new videos out that I suppose playing them at this point on here wouldn't be the worst. But yeah, I did kind of want to respond to some people who have been commenting on my social media things saying that Trump isn't going to win again. And my point is, like, even a guy like Rogan, it seems, is pretty sure that Trump is going to win in 2020. Also, much to the chagrin of my colleague Joshua Johnson, sorry, Josh, I have to say that I did look into Tulsi Gabbard, and she's saner than a lot of other people who would be facing off. I'm sorry. She's not my gal. Although she is good looking. I will say that. And even she's too conservative for the left, so she's not going to make it in. So Locomotive Breath says they're going to win a they're going to run a tuna sandwich. Well, yeah, Chuck, they might as well run a tuna sandwich because at this point they have nothing else. But anyway, let's go to Johnny Arcade's channel real quick. Let's see. By the way, I think that the actual um, Johnny Arcade um, was like a '90s superstar or something. So this one is hilarious. So Vox Day, I guess, finally turned on Owen, and says that Owen is a 12-year-old girl. Let's take a gander at this, shall we? This will be funny.
I was Owen's daddy till he called me a toe. He'll turn on you too. I don't get caught up in this drama and people turning on people and so forth. So, you can save your warnings. Not everybody acts like a 12-year-old girl.
Oh my God. Well. Also, that's inaccurate, Vox, because I mean you're involved with Owen, and that's his whole thing. So, look, more. What do you know? More OTC content and whatnot. It's funny. My feed is filled with like RTC content, Nightwave content, and then Ben Shapiro content, and then occasionally I'll get Tucker Carlson content too. So and that's pretty much what I watch on this channel. Now, if I switch to my personal channel, you would basically see that, like, on my personal channel that I don't use for streaming or anything, I just watch stuff on there. My all my subs on those channels are pretty much like all cooking videos and cooking channels. So, okay, let's go back to Johnny's channel. So that was great. Never got into Vox Day either. But I will say this. I watched this one a couple times yesterday, and I could not stop cracking up. So this is proof that Owen is more than a quarter Jew. Now, I thought that, like, Owen admitted that he had, like, a DNA test done or something, but man, oh man, this is just as good, though.
Hi, Big Bear. I just want to thank you for all the amazing content. It's funny. I wonder if someone's... remember that the internet is forever. One day your sons will see your streams, so will their peers. You can keep them out of school, but you can't isolate them forever like you can with Amy. Your sons will be just as humiliated by you as your Jewish dad is. Okay, well, that was a mean one. That's the first mean one I've ever gotten. Because it said, here's $20 and there was no 20 in it.
Oh my God, that is great. That popped up. That is good. I especially love the fact that Johnny inserted the Jew laugh. The moment I heard that like Jew impression that Owen does, which by the way, I'm glad that sound meme, as I call it, got resurrected, because every time I hear it, I just spontaneously bust a gut. It is one of the funniest sounds ever on the internet. Let's see. Play the one where he talks about killing his dog, Sammy. Which one, Johnny? Because see, that's the other thing is it's like someone says play the clip of Owen spurting out, and it's like, oh, which one? There are like millions of them. Oh, I think it's the recent one where he talks about like gutting his dog with a spoon, right? Uh, okay, let's see. Oh. Owen ventured on killing dogs with silverware.
One time I was gonna stab their dog because one of their dogs bit Walter and made him bleed. This little.
He's referring to his in-laws dogs, by the way. Yeah, he's referring. For those of you who don't know, he's referring to his to Amy's parents' dog.
Little chihuahua piece of shit. And I was like,
Okay, I do have to agree with him. I don't really like chihuahuas, but still, that's like there. It's one thing to not like small dogs, and like I'm not really a big fan of small dogs, but to call them a piece of like, yeesh, man, that's a little, that's too much, man. That's too much.
you know, I was like, if that happens again, I told him they ended up putting down the dog. But I didn't insist them to put down the dog. I was just like, if that happens again, I will take a steak knife and cut his head off in front of everybody if he makes my son bleed. And that's coming from a guy with 4 dogs. I would gut any of my dogs with a spoon if to help my kid. Just if my kid was bummed out.
Okay, he would gut a dog with a spoon if his kid was bummed out. Okay, like his oldest son is 4. What I think like Walter's 4. And you know, like I don't have kids. I have like younger siblings. But I do know that with like toddlers and whatnot, and with like really young kids, like 1 minute they can be like really happy and like just carefree, and then the next moment they can be like completely bummed out. So if Owen is saying that he wants to kill his dog just because his son is bummed out, someone call PETA, because that's dangerous. Second off, Owen, what is this, like prison? You don't gut a dog with a spoon, or if you do, it must be like a pretty damn sharp spoon. Let's see. Yeah. Evil. Yeah. Yeah. Dad, I'm mad at the moon and the dog. I mean, again, let me say this. I do feel bad for his kids. I genuinely do. Because one day they are going to, like when they're, okay, I'm trying to estimate their what age they'll be. They'll probably be like 10 or 11 at the latest. At the latest. And I guarantee you that, like, even if they do homeschool their kids, they'll probably have like friends like out. They'll meet other kids, and like even when I was a kid, like in the early to mid 2000s, like even back then when all this social media stuff was just coming out, like kids were vicious then, and they're even more vicious now with like social media and whatnot. I guarantee you that even if Owen or Amy tries to hide all of Owen's crazy antics online from Walter and the other son, I mean, it's yeah. I mean, there's no hiding stuff on the internet. They're gonna find out about this, probably from their friends, and they're they're probably going to be like even more embarrassed. Like when you're a teenager, your parents already kind of embarrass you because like they're your parents and they're square and they're old and whatnot in your mind. In your parent. So when you're a teenager, your parents kind of already can be embarrassing to you just because like that's how the whole teenage parent thing is. Um, Add Owen's stuff. Add all of Owen's stuff on to that, and yeesh, that is oh my! I can just picture I can just picture all the arguments. Dad, Dad, why, Dad? Why would you do all this stuff? You're so embarrassing. Like I like Owen's. If you think Owen's spurg outs are bad, his kids are going to spurg out on him 10 times worse. And that's what we call karma, ladies and gentlemen. It's gonna be bad. It's yeah, Jolly the chat goes, Walter's the same percentage of Mexican as taco pizza. And I bet he's still gonna do better than his dad. Yeah, I mean, if he like grows up normal or has a chance, yeah. So, yeah, OJ's White Broncos, guys, I'm great for 12-year-old boys. So. Yeah. I mean, that's what everyone thinks. But seriously, at this point, Hugh Hefner is a better influence for 12-year-old boys than Owen is. I hell, Larry Flint might be a better influence than Owen is. So. But anyway, what else have we got? Javelin, Jables. Let's see. Oh, I don't really want to go. Someone asked me the other night about Game of Thrones and if I'm gonna go into that. I might do a Game of Thrones show at some point, but it's not going to be like a live one. It'll probably be pre-recorded. and whatnot, so people don't stumble into spoilers and whatnot. But Evil Eric says Walter will be on YouTube within 2 years. So, yeah, probably. Whoa, Eric Nimmer is in the chat again. Hey Nimmer, how you doing? I'm surprised that Jolly is still in the room with Nimmer in here. So, let's see. But yeah, Nim the Great. So let's see. What else is on the docket? Oh, I did want to I don't really have much else on the docket for tonight's stream. Other than I did want to respond to a couple comments on, not directly on Facebook, but I do want to address something that's been bothering me with the podcast community, just in general. And that is this whole thing of amateur podcasters think that they're going to be the next Joe Rogan or whatnot. Okay, so forgive me if I get a little ranty here, but this has been bugging the hell out of me for the past couple weeks, and I've tried not to say anything, but it annoys the hell out of me, so I'm just going to address it head on. So, I'm in a couple of groups on both Reddit and Facebook that are related to podcasts and podcasters. Most notably the Anchor community. Anchor is the platform at which I use to upload the audio version of the podcast. And as I've explained before, Anchor is kind of like the YouTube of podcasting, in the sense that like pretty much anyone can host a show, and it's free, which is great for people like me, because I don't have to pay for podcast hosting. That's really nice. And Anchor, full disclosure, Anchor is actually a sponsor of the Whitfield Report on the audio podcast. So, I am disclosing that. But that's not the only reason why I'm talking about them. So there are all these new podcasters that join the community, which, is fine. I get that. Everyone's got to start out somewhere. But the one thing that annoys the hell out of me, without fail, is when people start going off on this. I've only had my podcast for like 4 months. I'm not growing an audience fast enough. What's wrong? It's so frustrating. Anchor sucks, and this sucks, and I don't understand why I can't get my content off the ground. And like, they're not really even asking for advice. They're just bitching and moaning. And okay, let me just tell you guys something who are amateur podcasters. And for the people who don't podcast and who don't have any interest in like, creating content and just watching this, this may amuse you, but it doesn't really apply to you. But for those of you who do podcast and who are just starting out, let me break down a few hard truths. The first being that if you're starting out in podcasting, it's going to take at least a year for you to get your show off the ground. And, even then, you're going to have a very small following. It's going to take you at least 5 years to build, momentum, to even build like a medium-sized audience. And unless you're like super successful or have connections, you're not going to make much money in the beginning. So, for those people on Anchor who have sponsorships enabled and who are, complaining like only having 6 subscribers and whatnot to their podcast, and how they're just frustrated because their podcast is so small and it's not growing the way they think it should. If you're podcasting simply because you want growth and exposure, if that's the only reason why you're doing it is to simply grow and make money off of this, you're in the wrong field. If you're podcasting about something that you're passionate about, that you're actually interested in, and that you're willing to devote the time and the effort to grind on, then you'll actually build an audience. Which brings me back to the chat. To Eric Nimmer, if you had actually worked hard to build an audience, and I realize that this is probably a fake Eric Nimmer, but just in case it's the real one, let me just say this: you had a better shot at Eric Nimmer had a better shot at building an audience than most because of the exposure. All that you had to do, and all podcasters have to do in the beginning, or all any content creators have to do in the beginning, and even in the middle, always stay humble and stay respectful of those who are trying to help your content, who are trying to give you a leg up. That's why I really appreciate Johnny and the DZ. And the ROTC crew. Let me tell you something too. If you're a content creator, there are times when you're going to encounter setbacks. For instance, prior to the 2016 election, I actually had a pretty good, big audience. I was part of a pretty successful podcast network, and I was part of a very prominent college Republican blog, which has actually gone defunct now. I was part of a blog called Red Millennial, which is defunct. As soon as I came out for Trump, it really wasn't even when I came out for Trump. Back in 2015, in fact, let me pull this up because I think it bears actually looking at again. So we're actually going to go to my website now, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to dig back way into the archives. Way into the archives. You'll understand why. Yes, you will understand why. Okay. We're going back 2 years now. We're going back 2 years. Okay. So this article that this opinion column I wrote on my site, I had written it for another website too that is now defunct as well. So that's pretty interesting. And I'm glad I saved it to my website because I like using this as a reference. So back in 2015, September 24th, 2015 at 6:45 a.m. in the morning. Geez, I published this early. I wrote the following column. Division among conservatives continues to harm us in the game of political chess. We could learn a thing or two from the left about winning elections. So I won't read this whole thing, but essentially, I said that even back in 2016, that although I wasn't a fan of Trump, although he wasn't my first choice, I would vote for him because I already knew that Hillary was going to win the Democrat nominee. And I said, whoever wins the Republican nominee, whether it be Jeb or whether it be Trump, we need to back fully. And so I published this column in 2015, basically saying I would back the candidate, whoever they are, in the Republican Party, because if we didn't, we would lose. I published that. Trump wins the nomination. So, I backed Trump fully. Went out and got a MAGA hat, the whole 9 yards. The publication, a few of the publications that I was writing for at the time, went never Trump. So, I was dismissed from them. Fortunately, they didn't pay me. But still, I got dismissed from, at the time, some pretty big platforms. Just for siding with Trump against the never Trump retards. So I had to rebuild. I kind of had to rebuild an audience from scratch. So so after 2016, I kind of built up a small audience with American Watchmen. But then I was looking for more. So as I've explained before, I found Owen through Rogan, joined the Unbearables, grew a pretty decent sized audience for the Whitfield Report there, got the started the Whitfield Report channel up there, started using it more and more, got up to 87 subscribers, is almost about to break 100, and then that was when the whole unbearable civil war broke out. Now, one thing I want to point out, the DZ was willing to help me build my content. Johnny in the DZ, Johnny Arcade in the DZ was really good in the early days, and still are really good at helping build up my channel, build Chuck's channel, and build some of the other DZ channels. Nerai, too, has always been a great supporter of the Whitfield Report and has really helped me out too. So those two cats have always been really helpful. The rest of the bears were always more focused on Owen and whatnot, and simply building his platform, which I get. Some of them were monetarily devoted, or monetarily incentivized, I should say. So because of that, they weren't really interested in helping build up anyone else's channel. So so my channel started to grow on YouTube, and I went from just strictly podcasting to live streaming these Whitfield Report podcasts too. Also, big shout out to the Moon, to the artist formerly known as Canna, for helping me get set up on YouTube as well. But regardless, the DZ really helped out with the show. They've always been good. So has ROTC. When it comes to helping promote my channel, ROTC really helped me build the channel up in the midst of the unbearable civil war too. Like, it's almost amazing to me that I was able to grow my channel so much because of all the stuff that was going on. I wasn't expecting the channel to grow so much, but it has, and also Jesse Spots has now plugged my channel. So, because of all that, and, just because they're all really good guys, I'm not going to shit in the mouth of I'm not going to shit in the hand of the people that are trying to help me. Unlike Owen, right? Owen, I understand disagreeing with Joe Rogan. I understand disagreeing with Ben Shapiro. But, when I interviewed Ben Shapiro when I was in high school, that was real when I knew I was going to start making it. But, I disagreed with Shapiro when he went Never Trump. I still disagree with him on a lot. But I'm not going to, I may disagree with him, but I'm never going to attack him personally because he helped me out. Or he helped bring viewers to my platform. And that video has like over, I think, 1,500 views or something on one of my old previous channels. I'm not going to be bad-mouthing the DZ or ROTC or Nightwave Radio. And that's how I may disagree with people at various times, but I'm never going to, crap on the people that help me out. But see, Owen doesn't get that. And Nimmer didn't get that. He was... The DZ was actually, we were all trying to help promote Nimmer's content as well. At least I know Neri was at first. And, Nimmer, if you hadn't gone harassing lady bears and just being a general dick, this might all turn out way different. So, anyway. So yeah, to those amateur podcasters out there, just, find people that support you and want to help you grow, and just be good to your supporters. Don't crap on them. That's the moral of tonight's episode. Don't crap on the people who support you. So, Evil Eric goes, why don't you post the Shapiro interview on here? I have posted the Shapiro interview on the iTunes feed, but you're right, I do need to upload it here. I need to re-upload that here. You're right. So, anyway, folks, I don't really have anything else to talk about here. I'm rambling. Big shout out to all of you who have tuned in. Big shout out to Jesse Spots and to Johnny Arcade. You gentlemen did a fantastic job tonight on Jesse's stream, and I can't wait to contribute my side of the story. So, yeah, so, and Neri makes a pretty good point too. A toilet supports you as you sit and you crap on that. I say, well, I mean, you don't crap on the toilet, you crap in the toilet, and if anyone would be the expert on that, it would be you, Neri. For those of you who don't know, for those of you who don't know, and folks, Neri has a lore of his own entirely. He used to do the best morning live stream shows ever, just full of like positive stuff and encouraging and motivational stuff, kind of like what I'm trying to do right now with the podcast community, except like way more successful and whatnot. But anyway, Neri is famous for because he did lots of streams from his mobile phone while he was sitting on the toilet. Hence his avatar of him reading a newspaper on the toilet. So, in fact, Nira, I still have a great podcast suggestion for you, which is talking shit with Nira. So, like, it could be like a motivational podcast or something. You wouldn't even have to do video or anything like that. You could just do audio. As long as you were as long as you were recording while you were in the bathroom, though, that could be kind of your gimmick. So so yeah. Yeah, I mean, Gabe's got it down pat. I could even do the voiceover. Potty Talk with your host, John Nerai. So, yeah. Anyway, thanks for viewing this. Thanks for all the likes on this. And thanks for sharing this. Again, Mersh. I'm a bit surprised it's got as many views as it did, especially considering that I did this one entirely impromptu. But nevertheless, I appreciate everyone coming out to watch this. I may be back later with a group live stream. I don't know. But regardless, I want to thank all of you for tuning in live and supporting the show. And the dates for when I'll be on Jesse Spots' radio program, TBH. So, and since it's 10 p.m., everyone go over and subscribe to, everyone go over and watch Nightwave Radio. Or, I don't know if he's off on Wednesdays again. But regardless, everyone should go over and subscribe to Nightwave Radio. So, although, you know, he doesn't really need me to plug him since his channel is way bigger, but I'll do it anyway. So, anyway, from all of us here at NGC1, me and my imaginary producer, good night, God bless, and as my friend Neri would say, God, freedom, legacy, in that order.